You are listening to the Examine Life with Bram Levinson. I was teaching a yoga class last night, and I was speaking to the students about what we've been doing in these classes that I've been teaching over the past 10 years. Because for many people, it's been a process of simply showing up to a yoga class, moving their body, breathing, maybe listening to some good music on the playlist, hopefully feeling better, leaving, going out, just continuing on with life. My intention in teaching these classes hasn't been to simply be some interchangeable teacher giving alignment cues and giving breathing cues. And so when I was speaking to the class last night, I basically was just saying to them, everything that we've been doing over the past 10 years, I have been giving you the tools. I've been guiding you down the pathway so that you can be a magician in your own life. And the proof that magic happens is at the end of a class when you feel better than when you walked in. Typically speaking, people walk into a yoga class with one dominant vibration or energy superseding all the others. So for some people that might be tension, for some people that might be stress. For some people there may be a dominant thought or worry that they bring with them onto the yoga mat into the class. And what we do throughout that class is through intentional focus, through intentional breathing, through intentional movement, we realign where the mind is directed. And we focus on things that typically we don't focus on. And by the end of that class, whether it's 60 minutes or 90 minutes, all of a sudden what was really worrisome upon entering the yoga studio or the yoga class isn't so worrisome. It doesn't have that same intensity. And maybe whatever the aches and pains were, whether they be physical or emotional, they're not as intense. They're not as dominant. And so what happens is people walk out of a yoga class, for the most part, feeling better. And in terms of, being a magician, that means that what we have done is we have taken a vibration that was dominant and we have altered it. We have turned it into something else. To me, that's alchemy. To me, that is the truest form of magic that there is. So I think that when life gets heavy, when there are challenges, when there is adversity, when there are hurdles, I think that instead of simply believing that, oh shit, life is getting difficult again and now I've got to fight my way through it and hopefully it won't kill me and hopefully I'll get out of this as mentally unscathed as possible and physically unscathed as possible, I think that instead of interpreting these moments like that, I think that we need to understand that we're being asked to be the magicians that our practices have taught us that we already are. We are being asked to apply the magic that inherently exists within us if we recognize it and know how to use it. Whether we choose to feel better by practicing yoga, whether we choose to alter a vibration through talk therapy, or whether we choose to, find a way to balance out the negative sensations with positive sensations by listening to music or inspirational shows or films that uplift us or podcasts or books, that have taught us that we can invoke good vibes. It's up to every single one of us to figure out what, that action or that tactic is that we can fall back on so that we can balance out these sensations and we can feel better, so that we can be these magicians. I'm lucky enough to live in Canada where cannabis is legalized. We can rely on cannabis in order to feel better, whether that be CBD, whether it be THC. But again, I want to say this with a little bit of a disclaimer. There always needs to be moderation. It's fine to be able to draw upon something that helps us feel better. It's not so fine when that's our go-to and that's all we're doing. And it's keeping us from actually moving forward and finding healthy patterns to be in, of moderation, healthy patterns, of cognitive focus and intention. to do things intentionally and to not just fall back into them as a default so that there's mindless action. We want to stay in mindful action. We have been practicing our magic skills for years. Every single one of us, regardless of whether you've been practicing yoga or not. We have been training ourselves to seek out and find comfort in discomfort all these years. There's always something to find fault with. There's always something less than ideal. Life is never perfect. Life is never one thing. So really, what's different, let's say, about this moment in time? Let's ask what's different about this pandemic from any other challenge or hardship we have had in the past. Replace the label pandemic with financial issues. Replace it with insecurity. Replace it with job instability. Replace it with social breakdowns, friends breaking down, friendships breaking down, relationships breaking down. Replace it with getting dumped. Replace it with getting fired. How is it different? Because it's not really. If you're being stressed out by external factors that have somehow weaseled their way into your mind and subsequently into your body, then it doesn't matter what the cause is, the way we respond to it needs to be the same. We need to do something that is going to reinstate the good feels, to set the balance right. You have walls that make up your home, keeping out what you don't want to come into your home. You set boundaries in your friendships, your relationships, your professional goings-on that help you focus on what is pleasing or functional and productive, and keeps away as much as possible the stuff that elicits stress responses. So I want you to consider that we are really, really good at setting boundaries so that we are able to alter vibrations, to turn these vibrations into the energies that help us feel better, the stuff that we need. So why aren't we taught to do the same thing with thoughts that integrate into our thinking and leave us freaked out? Why don't we set boundaries in terms of what thoughts we're going to let in, what information we're going to let in into our minds? I know that I've said it in previous episodes, but this is something that I have been practicing over the past few months and over the past few years, is setting boundaries as to what I'm going to let into my cognitive space, knowing that that cognitive space is limited and that it is going to ultimately affect the body in a sensory way, in a physiological way. I've said it a million times before, I'm going to say it again. We are not meant to operate under tension for extended periods of time. And if we rely on external factors, if we expect external factors to help us alleviate the weight of our problems, if we rely on external factors to help us feel better, then we're playing a losing game. This is not about the boyfriend or girlfriend or the husband or wife that you can find to make your life better. And it's not about when Friday rolls around and the weekend all of a sudden shows up. It's not about losing the weight so that, ideally that number on the scale is what you want it to be. It's not when you get smarter or when you get richer. It's up to every single one of us to play magician and to sort our own shit out now. And that begins with not only nodding our heads in agreement to the words that are coming out of my mouth right now into your ears right now, but by putting this into practice in real life when shit gets real. For many people right now, shit has gotten real. People are finding themselves at home. They are not as distracted by the usual goings-on of normal daily life, or what we knew was normal daily life. And all of a sudden, they are in their minds with their thoughts. And for a lot of people who have on purpose avoided being with their thoughts and distracted themselves by really attaching to the stuff that typically occupies a day's worth of time, like going to work and getting work done and having conversations and getting work in by the deadlines, and then getting home and getting dinner, and all of these things that we do, all this doing, it keeps us from simply being with ourselves. And now there are a lot of people who are forced to be with themselves, and it's freaking them out. And so I believe that every single one of us needs to find some sort of avenue or pathway in order to play magician. Now, for those of you who don't have that pathway, for those of you who don't know how to play magician, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to offer you a technique that is identified as finding one's personal anchor. To find one's personal anchor means to find that place that you can go to cognitively, to draw upon something cognitively that is going to provide an immediate redirection of your thoughts so that you can focus on something that is going to get you out of the typical oscillation of the mind and give you something that is going to help you make you feel better. And so, what I want you to do right now, if you are driving, if you are doing anything that requires you to keep paying attention, then I want you to stop this podcast episode now and pick it up when you are not doing anything. For those of you who can do this, I want you to right now just sit back or lie back, whatever you want. Close your eyes. And immediately, I want you to identify something that you can bring into your mind that is going to help you make the sensations of calm and safety manifest. So I want you to conjure up the image of someone, of somewhere, or something. It can be the face of someone who you know or know of, but that whenever you think of this person's face, you feel the good feels. It could be somewhere you've been to, let's say on vacation, that whenever you think of this one moment in time in that geographical location, again, you feel the good feels. This could be something. It could be the image of your pet. It could be a scene out of nature. It could be a symbol, religious or spiritual, that when you think of it, you immediately feel the body feel good. Now, for many people, personal anchor can't be an image. It doesn't work for them. What does work for them is to conjure up a feeling, an emotion, or to think of a phrase or a word, a mantra, if you will. But I want you to take a moment and identify what this personal anchor is for you. Now, if this personal anchor is a place, I'm going to cue you to do something that I was trained to do years ago, and that is to ground in all five senses. If your personal anchor is a moment in time somewhere, and you go back to this place in your mind, as you visualize this moment in time, like right now, as you visualize yourself in this place, I want you to notice what you see. What is the scenery in front of you? What are the colors that are dominant? Is it day or is it nighttime? Is it sunny? What color is the sky if the sky is visible? Really start to pay attention to what you can see. And then in this moment in time, in this personal anchor that you find yourself in, start to tune into the sounds around you. When you find yourself in this moment, in this place, what are the sounds that are specific to this place? Take a moment and listen. When you inhale, are there any smells present for you that you identify specifically with this location? Are there any tastes in the mouth? And then tune in to what the body feels in this specific location, in this moment in time that you are drawing upon to feel more calm and more grounded and more comfortable and more safe. What does the body feel? What's the temperature of the air, the density of the air on any exposed skin? What season is it? Is it cold? Is it warm? Is it hot? Is there water? Are you in a body of water? Are you in an ocean or at a beach? Can you feel the sand? What does the body feel in this moment? To ground in all five senses is to hone in specifically on this place and this moment in time so that it becomes even more real than the geographical location you find yourself in as you focus on your personal anchor. I want you to practice this art of establishing and grounding in your personal anchor. More importantly, I want you to focus on whatever helps you play magician, whatever helps you alter a vibration that you believe needs to be changed so that you can feel better and feel stronger and feel like you are staying above the line. Give it a think. I'll see you later. This has been the Examine Life with Bram Levinson.